So, okay. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about drawing old faces. I don't think I've covered this enough. And I was just going to run over some of the mistakes made here. And I'm going to apply the changes that we learned to this. This is one of the 14-day challenges, but I'm not really critiquing this. I'm going to make this old. I'm going to make this person old. And just talk a little bit about old faces. So the old face really is the ogre, as I've taught it. You want to break all the beauty rules, so you don't want to have golden ratio in there. The golden ratio typically is the length of the eyes, or the width of the eyes, times, whoopsie. So the distance between each eye is that same exact length. So it's A here for both eyes, and then this for the length of the nose ideally, and this for the length of the lips, which is inside, and then the width of the inside this whole length, and then the width of the lips sits inside. So the reason why this looks so uncanny, sort of, or like a young person who had a face puffed up, is because you followed that ratio exactly, sort of. You kind of just really are inside this ratio really too closely. And this distance here and here fits the lips in almost perfectly. So that's what we have to change. We can't use golden ratio. Everyone write this back to me. You can't use the golden ratio. You can't use the cuteness triangle on an old person's texture, on the textures of the skin of an old person. So that's what we don't want to do. That's the sort of moral of today's lesson, is that we cannot do that. It's not really a moral lesson, but that's the topic of today. So what we want to do is move as far away from that triangle that we just saw as possible. We want to always undo, so we want to flip that triangle upside down, keeping the eyes small, the nose wide, and the lips widest. That's what happens when you're old. And you're all drawing, so if you have a photo, you're all drawing from your minds and imagination. These are ways to sort of make it a lot easier for you to draw, right? They kind of give you like a set of rules that you can follow that make remembering these rules a lot easier. The elf and the ogre and all those narratives that help you draw better. But if you're working with a reference, just copy your reference. You'll find these little details in the reference. You'll find them working in the reference. But if you have a reference and you want to copy it to the T, just copy it. Don't worry too much about the rules, because the reference will pretty much guide you around the realism. But if you guys are drawing from your minds, you most likely will break these rules without knowing, so you have to remember these rules and apply them as much as possible. So what I'm going to do now is critique all of these with that in mind. So I'm shrinking the eyes. Because the eyes don't actually shrink, the eyeballs don't shrink. What happens is that the skin around starts to sag under it. And that's what we have to do. We have to start pulling the skin downward. We have to start acting like gravity has started to pull the skin down. So, brush density. I don't know what's happening here. The brush pressure went down, right? Yeah. So we're always pulling that. It's going to be the same face. This drawing of this old man is actually pretty good, but I'm going to push it. I'm going to push the realism even further. Okay. So we always want to sag the face down. We want to pull these fat pockets down. Okay. I'm going to give him more of a sag on the edge of his lips. Old people always look like they're frowning even when they're happy. That's just because something is always pulling that down. So that's the fat, and we're talking about density differences between, bone areas that have bone under them, and the fact that these areas don't really sag, versus the fat and the skin that does sag because of the presence of gravity. Okay, so this chin gets kind of just tucked in under the sagging lip. The nose sags, the nose tip here sags a lot to a point where the nostrils aren't that visible anymore. And when the nostrils aren't visible, you're really taking away from the beauty triangle. The brows also sag. I will get the original eyes back. I'll use the previous layer. And the width of the nose. The ears pull down. So this is pretty much what you want to do if you want to oldify anything, even as someone who is a very strong leader or something, and you're supposed to be representing that character with strength. You can still apply these changes. You can still apply the old ogre to him, and he will start to look a lot more old. So compared to before, he kind of had those really big eyes that didn't really feel like he was old. They felt pretty big. His lips were a little bit full, so I wanted to sort of bring that fullness down. And that perky smile felt like it was smiling only in this area and it wasn't affecting the lips or anything. So a smile, when someone smiles, affects the whole face. And what we did is we did exactly the opposite, where here we have a bit of a triangle left over. We kind of just took that away and replaced it and made that triangle a little bit more obtuse. One more thing you can do is really push the beauty triangle as far as away as possible and bringing the eyes closer together. You can also bring the eyes closer together with the use of shadow, so when someone's skin gets older, it gets darker. Not darker, but more pigmented. And these areas under here get pigmented, so you can bring the eyes closer together this way. Altogether, the skin that you're painting is a very, very tanned person. So either, Jeffrey, you lower down his highlights because his highlights will not jump that high unless they are very oily. And you keep him within his skin tone. Or you even out because you tend to use really, really dark skin tones. So I just want you to be aware of that. Let me see when I started doing that. Okay. So what I would do is I would just use lighten. He kind of has those non. Wait a second, what's happening? Why is it doing that? Oh, whoopsie, normal. And this is lighten. So I would just get this highlighter skin tone and apply it to all the darkest shades around. Because the skin will simply not get that dark. If it's in a Caucasian kind of scale, if it's in a olive kind of scale, it just does not get that dark. The only things that get that dark are the dark spots. If you're using this much dark everywhere, you're really flooding the form away. So I think it's not a problem with your form understanding so much because you can sculpt, that's for sure. The issue really is in making sure that you're going to have to color with these shades later, Jeffrey. That means that they're going to be harder to transfer into color if your shades are this dark. So it's a matter, I think the problem you have with these really, really dark tones that you use is that you haven't yet pushed over into color enough that it's influenced the way you draw. Or influence the way you use your grays. You're not really thinking about color enough. I'm going to erase away what I just added, which is a lightened layer of a really light gray, to sort of raise that value. I'm going to just erase away at areas where I need darks, so dark spots, lip corners, eyes. And we'll try to get the old eyes back because these are morphed now. Okay, so eyes don't change when you get older. They stay the same. They can like kind of get all milky colored, kind of gray out. And they don't have as much light in them as before. But let me show you before and after before I darken the eyes. Before, after. Your shades were really dark. I kept the lower half dark because that's the sphere. It gets darker. But before you had it pretty dark and then you had this highlighter shade that does not belong to that skin tone. It simply doesn't. You had that really leathery kind of texture. Skin isn't leathery. It's very matte. It's very suede-ish. Not leathery, like shiny. It doesn't spike up like that because of its super shiny texture, like we see with like a baseball bat or not baseball bat, a baseball or a black basketball that has this kind of spike, if you've ever seen one. So what we want to do is keep the midtones and the shadows respective to the texture they belong to, which is the skin texture, which is a very translucent thing. All that's left to darken now are just basic cavities in the face. Okay, so I'll merge that down and then I will. Sorry, I'm very, very sick today. Almost didn't do class, but I didn't want to disappoint you guys. So I'm just going to throw in that, because they're so much more hooded, coming out over the eye now because all of this fat here hoods right over the eye. The shadow on top of the eye, on top of the shadow I talk about a lot, is even stronger than usual. So you don't get those really, really sparkly anime highlights on the face. And that's always stuff you want to avoid. If you want highlights on the face, what we do is we just add them to the areas that we know to be shiny areas. So the nose, probably one of the only areas where you can add these kinds of highlights. A little bit right here on those sun-kissed areas, and then the forehead on switch, just around there. Those are the areas that can be shiny, but we can't spike it unless we know the base value has been addressed. Alright? So if you really want a face to look old, you have to flip that triangle completely upside down. Oh, where is it? Okay, sharpen, unsharp mask. Oopsie. Sorry, because I have my use of the soft brush. So does anyone have any questions? Sorry, one moment, please. Just ask your questions. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I just had to get some tissues. Thank you for teaching, even though you're not feeling great. Thank you. You're welcome. Um, he looks like a Bethesda character. Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like he wants to stay a while. Wants me to stay a while and listen. Yeah, I don't know the local value of the skin I paint. It comes with observing not overly exposed photographs. So if the exposure is really high and it's been really, really edited, you're never going to get the actual skin tone of that photo. So be very careful with the photos that you grayscale and just observe. Sometimes I get photos, I load them into Photoshop, I grayscale them, and I just run the color picker over them. I turn this on and just run it over and just look at how this line right here, just look at how it spikes. Where it spikes, where it just jumps up just like that, just like there. And then this spike right here, all the way up there. Oops, right there. That's a massive spike. So I look for these things in the photograph and see where they usually happen. And I'm telling you right now, after all the research I've done, they spike in these areas only. And if your value is enough, if the skin value is bright enough, it will spike even higher than usual. But if it's a naturally dark skin tone, it's not capable of that type of spike. I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'll save that. So as you can see here, just by looking at the one that we were just looking at, the face here essentially is too cute. We don't want that kind of cute. If we are dealing with a female character that is old, you can use the old, the male old signifiers for the female old signifiers. Like, unless she's like a total Helen Mirren type of lady, and even then, even Helen Mirren's face is manly to me. Because all I have to do is take the boobs away and she'll look like a man, because that's just what happens when you get old. There's no remnants. There are nearly no remnants of the elf anymore. In 2016, like, she's supposedly the most beautiful old lady ever in the whole universe. But honestly, if you got rid of all the makeup, she'll look like any other man. The nose got bigger, it broke the golden ratio. The nose is wider than the distance between the eyes. The lips are very wide. We have a complete ogre. I'm sorry, Helen Mirren, but that's essentially what I'm teaching you. You guys have to remember these things. If we take away all the boobies and all the prettiness, what we get is the ogre. But Helen Mirren young, you'll see that these are all entirely inverted, and the width of her nose wasn't that large. The sag in her eyes didn't shrink her eyes, the sag above. The lips weren't that wide compared to the nose. So what we get is like, I think this is when she's a bit older. We get more of a triangle happening. Let's see one where she's just normal. This triangle right here. We see it. But if we look at her today, that triangle is especially like when she's smiling, very similar to the one right here. It's more of a square. And you don't have to go completely ogre to get the old person. Remember my video. You don't have to go, you don't have to cross that crazy line to get ogre or to get manly. It's a very, very tiny little shift. I recommend you all watch that video. It'll really help you guys. So what we want to do here is I have to not even liquefy, I just have to just widen this. Just like that. Okay. Alright, so I'm trying very hard to keep all of these kind of making sense. I'm going to have to liquefy in a second. Oopsie. Should have made it a new layer. It's going to take some work, but bear with me. Am I on the right layer? So I'm just trying to get this to blend in. Get this one to blend in. Okay. Merge down, merge down. So it's not always, write this back to me, everybody who's watching, write this back to me. It's not always going to be the wrinkles that make an old face read in your painting. Like if you have to paint an old man sage knowledge guy that they meet at the end of the journey and you have to design him, adding wrinkles to him is not the only thing that's going to make him feel like a sage. You're going to have to make him, you're going to have to apply all of the ogre qualities to him, that he's lived so long. There is no sign of youth in him. The youth comes from the triangle. If there's any bit of youth in there, he's not going to feel like he's 2,000 years old, is he? No. So you're going to have to remember, you really have to apply these rules. This is one of those things you write on your desktop and you never forget it. Got a little note in front of your desk or wherever you work. It's just one of those rules. If you want youth, you have to apply the triangle, but if you don't want youth, you have to apply the ogre. No remnants of the youth whatsoever. If they're a 30-year-old mid-age person, that's like a balance between both. You don't want them to look too cute. One really massive, can anyone tell me what it is? Like, I don't know if I should wait for you guys to answer it because it's going to take a while because of the lag, but one massive thing I'm changing, I'll just answer it, is the fact that the head you drew was really, really square. That's one way of making something look very young, is to give it that sort of really small head, that short head. When you lengthen that head to be a little bit longer, that's when the person ages. So even if you haven't applied any ogre, sorry, I'm just looking at the comments. If you haven't applied any ogre and it's the same beauty, you haven't touched the beauty, just lengthen the face, that adds age. So this little bit here droops, so I'm going to have that droop down. The eyes you drew, the actual pupils are a little bit large. And I'm just trying to sculpt away at the head. So it's going to be the same head you drew, just way less youthful. Like the same person type deal. I'm just lengthening the head, pulling and sagging the skin down because of age. Those are all the signatures of age. God, I hope I never get old. I hope I die in like some crazy fight against ISIS, and not and you know, dying in my sleep as an old person. I'm sorry, that was so dark. I don't know. I'm so afraid of getting old. Yeah, if I die in like this crazy ass, epic ass battle. Okay. I'm just constantly trying to sag the eyes down. And there are other signatures you can use. There's a multitude of them that make a face look older. And one of them is the bag under the eye. So it's a severe kind of like a droop. So we need some shadows down there to help that. Yeah, I'd be the one with like the bazooka and I'd be like, choo, and then the ISIS people would be like, no, please don't kill me. And I'd be like, no, I kill you. And then I win and I'm like honored. Let me use darken because I really don't want to touch the values you've already chosen. I just want to darken them. Darken that. And the last line is one massive age signature. Yeah, I really hate ISIS. Like, I really hate ISIS. Bunch of scum. The reason why I hate them a little extra than everyone else is because when we were in Iraq, I was born in the Gulf War, so um, we basically, they're the remnants of the Saddami regime, right? They're the remnants of the Ba'athist Party, which is like a really, they just hate all Shia, all anything. Like just it's just the sect of Islam that I was born from. So they're like very specifically damaged our family. Like they separated us for a while because my dad was part of that resistance. And I don't know if I should be saying this kind of stuff right now, but it's over. It's been 25 years. But yeah, we didn't. Yeah, when we immigrated, not immigrated, when we were refugees from that one battle that happened, or it was during Desert Storm. Our whole family was separated, and we ended up meeting in the refugee camp. Thank God, but yeah, there was a lot of stress on my mom because of that's. It's not just ISIS as being a bunch of jerks that murder people. That's one big reason I hate them, but because of where they came from, like they're still around. Like even after Saddam fell and all that crazy racism that he supported and that he started in Iraq, and his crazy crusade, even after he fell, they're still sticking around, believing in what he did. And he was on trial for day after day, week after week, and they still believe in him, even though they knew everything that he did was crimes against humanity. And they still like that's why I hate them. Like that last little bit, like that extra bit, it's because of that. They never learned from their leader, who failed, who was executed. You know, they, by the people, by the Iraqi people, because of what he did. I don't believe in capital punishment, but that motherfucker had it coming. If you know the things he did to Shia people. So that's why I hate them, that extra little bit. Pieces of shit. I'm just giving the nose a little bit more structure. So now it does feel like a woman. Sorry, that's a way massive meander away from the topic of today. I don't know, I'm feeling a bit dark today. But yeah, it looks like a woman. It looks like an older person, but a female, because we're still really too close to the beauty triangle. And the eyes are pretty large, and we're seeing a lot of her upper eyelid. If you see a lot of the upper eyelid, you really haven't sagged enough. What you have to do is just carry that sag all the way down, just like that. And now it's kind of getting that male back. Do you see? It's a very slight little change. But that's what we want to see. We want to see some real signatures of years and years of gravity pulling on something as sensitive as the organ of the skin. We want to get rid of all of those youthful signatures, which is the high cheekbones. We want to give them a bit more of a sag. The bone doesn't sag, but the skin does. I'm scared of reading your comments. I wonder what you guys think. You guys probably think I'm some sort of crazy capsule of, I don't know. Yeah, extremists all over the world. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. You share a perspective not commonly heard. Oh, thank you, Peter. So anywhere where there was bone left over, that's the only place that gets a highlight. And I'm telling you, these are the only places that spike. Everything else is pretty low. I'm going to throw one layer of darken. I'm going to throw one layer of shadow, and then I'm going to erase away only the areas that I know to spike. And these are areas as follows. The nose is one of the strongest, most protruding areas, but in this case, this person's nose is pretty flat. This area right here. I'm not going to make the cheekbone all the way up here. I'm going to lower it. This area, this massive hill, followed by the valley of the eye socket. So the forehead and the brow bone are all areas that get that. And the cheek and in the chin, sorry, and these little bits here. So I'm going to really feel like I'm still too close to this cuteness triangle, so I'm going to keep shrinking the entire eye area and bring it together. Bring it a little bit closer to each other. I want to introduce more of that ogre. And kind of just keep the face sagging down staying away from those cheekbones that are really too high. The eyes still feel very, very pretty because of the size they originally were in. And you'll see in a second when I do the before, the size that they were in. They were really large. And that was adding to the beauty. The neck needs to be a little bit more pronounced with length. And I'll cut away bits of the neck. That sounds scary. I just want the neck to have its own kind of length. Okay. And one thing that happens is teeth loss. So the lips feel a little bit more like they're lost into each other. So the lips feel way thinner. Lip thinness and wrinkles around the lips. So I know you guys wrote it back to me, but always remember, wrinkles alone will not carry the read of an older face. Wrinkles alone are not going to do it. Okay, the eyes to be the same size. And again, really be careful about the light in the eyes. You want to always get rid of that. That's just basically you're removing away the life in the eyes. And that feels a little bit more like, like an older person. And I'm pushing the extreme right now. I'm making all of these adjustments to your paintings. I'm bringing them to the extreme because I want to show you the real use of the ogre, how valuable it is to remember that theory. It's not even a theory anymore because it's just pure application. And there's a lot of results that come out of it. So let's show you the before. Sharpen, unsharp. Okay. So you'll see before how close it was to the cuteness. It just looked like someone who was very young with a skin condition. That's how it read to me. I feel that the face was so useful. The proportions were useful. The proportions were youthful, but the skin was not. And I had a feeling you were going for old person because of all the wrinkles. But after we applied the length, we shrank the eyes, we brought in the ogre. So I'm pushing the extreme. Yeah, I used soft brush. Sorry, I lost some of that detail. Let me see if sharpen can bring it back. Yeah, all of these things right here are what help you create an older looking person. Even if it's a woman, throw a bun on her and give her a shawl. It'll look like an old woman. You can see the extreme of this happen in Howls Moving Castle, the transformation of the Witch of the Waste. How they use that is this exact theory to transform her from this, with the nose being, I love how they showed this, with the nose being very, very slender. She did look older. I don't know what the hell was happening here. I don't know why they included that. But look at how much larger her nose started getting compared to her eyes. How much, well, the lip really doesn't help here, but they're trying to make her friendly looking, but here is pretty much where they made her the ugliest. The width of her lips and the size of her nose compared to her eyes. We see this exact theory being used. So you just flip the triangle upside down. She's so cute later on. I love this movie. Anyways, so that, and now for the fun stuff. Sorry, I'll look at your comments in a second. Now for the fun stuff. To make that, Ista is ageist. Ageism, no. I'm going to make this beautiful person here very, very old. He looks so sad and dead. Well, yeah, Edgar, I pushed the realism. I mean, not the realism. I pushed the theory as far as possible. You can always pull back a little bit if you want a little bit more. Removing all life from the eyes. All old people are ogres. Teeth missing. I'm not saying that. Don't go quoting me on that. I've always loved drawing old people so much more the character to them. Yeah. As long as you just take away that youthful, because you want to represent that there's no youth there anymore. If you do, that's when you get the cute old person. So let's look up a cute old person. It's really in their character and their timidness. That's where you get the cute. But sometimes it's in the proportions. So see this very, very close eyes together. Large nose, larger than the width of the eyes. large mouth, very, very deep wrinkles. This line right here is what makes everyone old. But their cuteness is in their behavior. So the cute smile, very delicate, but you see very, very little light in the eyes. Very little light in the eyes here as well. Lots of shadows, no teeth. Maybe here there's light actually, because this person's eyes are light. But cute old people, it's just in their behavior. It isn't in the fact that you've made the eyes humongous. The nose is still the largest. The jawline is still tucked in because of the lack of teeth. This badass right here. The laugh line, the lack of teeth, the large eye. I mean, I'm not saying all old people are ogres. I'm going to be an old person one day. I'm going to be a saggy old person. But I'm saying in order to draw an old person, you really got to enlarge the size of the nose compared to the eyes. Women are a much less type of ogre, but they still have the same signature. Skin is skin. Alright, so cute old... Aw, it looks just like him. A cute old person is in their behavior. Write that back to me. Don't confuse it when someone says to you, hey, I'm commissioning you to draw this old person for me, but they're kind of cute. Don't go bringing in the elf, please. For the love of God, don't do that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have a really uncanny looking old person that you've drawn. And that's when you use cute signatures. Sorry, my voice. Cute signatures on old texture. It's uncanny. You're not supposed to mix those two together. That's when you have something like a deformation or something like that. And thin lips. Yes, very, very important you remember the thin lips. Yeah, I wish I had a grandpa. That's my wish sometimes. I wish there was a place you could go to adopt a grandpa. Why isn't there? You know, why can't you go and adopt an old person, for Christmas? Just for the Christmas season. Oh no, that's terrible. That's like abusing them. Permanently adopt an old person. That'd be so nice. But yeah. Let me see if there's anyone who asked any questions. Round 1, fight. Yeah, 30 is not old. 30 is mid-age. That's the age you grow to be. That's the age you grow down from. Like it's the golden age basically is 30. And like 25, 30 is like the new 35 is the new 25 because we just get healthier and healthier, I hope. And as long as people are still doing their what are they called, those shots for the babies? Okay, so any questions? No. Yeah, Miyazaki's amazing. The old lady, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to volunteer for the old people's home here, but they were full. Start putting prices on old people and selling them just like the good old days. Adopt Dumbledore and Gandalf. I would not be able to afford Dumbledore or Gandalf. Vaccines, yeah, not vaccinating your kids. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so let's make this person old. So the same old thing that we've been doing, same old thing. We're just going to do that exactly. So I wish there was a real-time chat with you guys so you guys can tell me what to do, but I'm going to go ahead and do all this. Shrinking the eyes. All right, enlarging the nose. I gotta tuck the eyes back in because they get distorted because of that. Get rid of that. You want to get rid of that inner tilt. So that tilt that I always, that beauty tilt, get rid of that. You want to invert that completely. Make the eyes sag down. And that's part 1 of the entire eyebrow sag. So you want to get rid of this arch, have it very mildly remain. I'll get the old eyes back. Don't mind the pupils. I can just erase away. So what we're doing is sagging the eyes down. This is one of the first areas to sag. Also with the lines of the brows. The eyes are throwing me off. I'm going to have to get rid of them. Okay. I'll bring them back. Filter, liquefy. Okay. So I'm going to keep trying to tuck in the brows down lower and lower, representing that sag over time. The size of the nose. And not just the size of the nose, the sag of the nose as well, so we get a larger lower bit. The lips get way less plumpness to them, or fullness. They lose their fullness. And not just that, they also sag as well. So this person's getting older as we speak. And I'm talking like 60 plus. I'm not talking about 45 here. 45 is a mild aging. I'm talking about 60 plus. So really, really old. Eyes come closer together. And they shrink, and I'll start the painting in a second. So the painting bit is when we paint in the sag, the bag of the eye. The laugh lines, the brow lines. All those things get painted in. The button of the nose. You want to give the face as much sort of less testosterone, I guess is the term, which is losing its robust skeletal structure. The skeleton doesn't really change that much, but what happens is the skin around it gets less support over time. Bones deteriorate. So they look more skinny, more feeble. Okay. And I'm going to tuck this entire lower half in. I'm going to raise the density and tuck that whole lower half in. It's kind of looking like he's hitting his 50s and this guy's aging as we go. So next up is just throwing in all of the other signatures. So the bags of the eyes. They get darker as they go to this massive bag right here. The socket shadows. Right. Oops. Sorry, I've learned to paint very fast. I'm sorry if you hear crazy clicking. Okay, this whole thing just sags right over. And this is the bits you have to paint in. So you see, you can't depend on, for those of you criminals here who depend on Liquefy to do all your work for you, there's only so much Liquefy will do for you. The rest is all you. So you gotta learn where these little things happen. Okay, more bits here. This kind of gets tucked in. Alright. What? No. No attention right now, sorry. And then the button of the nose. The cheekbone sags lower. Oh, she says hi, by the way. And of course, this dramatic, massive, amazing tool you have at your disposal, which is the laugh line. That thing will change history, I'm telling you. It did change history. It made him older. My jokes suck. No wonder I have haters. Oh god. Okay, so then this thing also sags down. We get that little ball. Alright, this is so much fun. I'm having like all the fun right now. And then we just really want to get rid of the plumpness of the lips as much as possible. It's really weird when you see an old man with really plump lips and he's got like lip gloss on it. I'm sorry, my voice is breaking. But he's got lip gloss on his lips. It just doesn't feel right. And not lip gloss, lip balm. It's like, dude, that's the only thing that you moisturized in your entire life, your lips, and everything else you just didn't bother. I saw this one man who had the plumpest ass lips. I honestly think he got Botox. It just did not feel right. The lips do not sustain. There's no sustain there. And then this little bit goes up. Okay. And we want to not just use a gray tone. We really want to show off this wrinkle. It's starting to look like me and McKellen. And the lower half of the face, by the way, for the person doing this this 14-day challenge, you gotta darken the lower half of the face that you're painting. You can't keep it. You can't forget about the core shadows. That's one massive thing people forget about. I'll just use a multiplier, maybe. Yes. Okay. And I really want to sag the face a little bit more. Filter, liquefy. Just pushing these things down. Don't want to make him sad, you know. It's very easy to draw the sad ogre. And then the brows. Make them uneven, even more interesting. Now I feel like drawing like a sage-old kind of dude that they meet at the end of Game of Thrones, season 4 or something. That tree guy. I feel like drawing something like that. Okay, this shadow right here, this immense shadow, you just, you don't fail by making it a little bit more strong. You're just representing more and more form when you do that. The bone here is what doesn't sag, so you still get that line. Keep going, just bringing in brightness and spikes where skin is thinner, more stretched out, so this whole area is stretched out. We have those little bits. And that's when you can start showing off more wrinkles. Should probably shrink my brush now. Okay. So this person here is pretty much what we want to do. Is this is what that person's going to look like when he's older. So let me see if I can find the eyes. Oh God. Oh God, no. The eyes are completely gone. So I'll just copy paste the eyes. I won't be able to erase them. We want to take away the light in the eyes as much as possible as well. We want to shrink them too. Whoops. My God. Istebrak, what are you doing? I'll use a layer mode. There we go. So I'm sorry I'm drawing a bunch of sad people, but I just feel like this is how sad people, unless they're smiling, look all the time. Not sad people, old people, like unless they're smiling, this is pretty much how they look. But you see, it doesn't look right when the eyes are so youthful and so small, so big. You really gotta shrink them to look just like that. Now he looks like a tired old seasoned accountant. Okay. Remembering his wild days when he was younger. I mean, not all old people are sad, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we want to show that lack of youth in the face. If they're smiling, it's going to be youthful. That's why you should always smile. But it's a vain practice that we study here. We're studying vanities, so the best way to appeal to a larger audience, or when we paint something beautiful, we have to paint the universal definition of beautiful, which is the ranges in the society. So its range is where you're coming from. But he's still got those beautiful, beautiful light eyes he has, and then the waterline, which you also sag. Merge down. So I'm sorry I made him so cranky. I just feel like this is how he'd look if he was waiting in an airport in a transit. It's like 8-hour transit. No, that's how I look. Okay. Okay. So all of these little units, all of these little bits help when we want to paint something that is aging. We bring in we counter the youth. Ugh. Okay. Alright. So he looks like a completely different guy. Maybe in his age his lips would have sustained. Maybe his brow bone would have sustained. His face shape would have sustained a little bit. But we really want to push the old age as much as possible. There's some people that age that look nothing like they did when they were younger. But It varies. So you can use units of these, levels of these, instead of using the entire push. And that's all. I'm so sorry about my monotone. I'm just really, really sick. Really, really sick. I'm so sorry. Let me see what everyone's saying. Most depressing episode, but there was an OC meow. Stop apologizing. He's beautiful. Is this community all about drawing faces? No, no, Mavko. It's not. We draw figures, we draw hands, we draw anatomy, we draw landscapes. I do all kinds of lessons in my classes. So it's not just about faces. It's just that faces are something that's very difficult for lots of people to draw. So they're taking that on first because they want to sort of drive their profession through it. But children on my on my lawn again. I'm too old for this shit typeface. Okay, so I want to show you guys the latest update we have of Portrait Studio. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it by the time the class is done. Download. There we go. So the app is finished basically. It's all done. Any other changes will be added on an update. And it's just a tiny last little changes here and there with the sizes of icons, making sure that you don't hover the light too far away, making sure that you never orbit outside of the face. So this is it. Okay, and it's a load screen. That is a little bit glitchy. It's these tiny little things that happen. Finalizing logos, and we have to get premium with Unity in order to export it and sell it. So those last little bits, and then we're gonna have a week of features on my channel, and then it'll be released for you guys. Okay, I promise. It's just that the more we delay it, the better it gets. But sorry, this is the update. This is if you buy it, this is what you'll be getting. We'll be getting some updates, whatever changes that we make. All these extra stuff is just developer stuff. You won't be seeing most of these. But this is it. This is the baby. When you move the light, it tells you on which axis you're moving it. Z. You get cast shadows. Beautiful stuff. You can randomize faces, so you can randomize the type of face that you get. You can rotate inside the menu. Let me raise the opacity a little bit. I'm still pushing Control Z on the randomizers, because if you find something you like, you might want it. Skin reflectivity, lowering that, so really mattified skin. Shininess, so you can get that Silver Surfer look if you want to bring in some kind of moisture or wetness to the skin. And then the skin value, whether or not the skin is dark, so darker skin, lighter skin. You can control the female and the male sliders. His top needs to be raised just a little bit. You got that? So you can make the face fatter or skinnier, higher, lower cheekbones. Let's try them all. Not all of them, but I'll be showing you in the video. Wider nose bridge bone, higher, jaw width, skinnier face, wider face. So these are all very delicate, and I've kind of just approved of these to make sure that they're not ridiculous. You don't get a ridiculous. You can make a ridiculous face with this, but it's pretty much reasonably ridiculous is what I kind of approved of. So wider ears, you get the elf ear if you want it. Really nice concept artist friendly reference generator that we've been working on for half a year almost. And it's just, I'm so happy it's nearly done. Let me see if the breast size is there for you perverts. I don't know. I can't find it. I think they took it out for now. 'Cause they were fixing it. There was an issue with it. The nipples would just go in a completely different direction. It's what you get. It's what we get. And you can randomize the sliders for the male. Let me just decrease the shininess. You get this weird ass shit. Really, really strange looking faces. Ooh, wow, that looks really Nubian. Oh, that's so pretty. I wish I could save this. Oh, I can! I can save a file. And then I can load it in. But let me see. It's basically Lucian. What is its value? Up. Yeah, the top here. Let our modeler know. This needs to be pushed up just a bit. And then if you want him to be... Oh, look at her face. It's so small and mousy. If you want to get in a little closer, change the angle for your reference, you can. You can control camera speed, rotation speed. Oh, she's so pretty. Same with the male. Alright, remember that. That's pretty much the last bit right here. And yeah, if you want his ears to be a little bit more pointy, you can do that. Where is it? Ear point. Ear point. Where is it? Ear size, rotation, ear height, ear point. Right there. Oh, that's so cool. He looks like Blade. Okay, but yeah, this is lots of stuff has been changed. What's the end stuff? Did I say an end stuff? I'm sorry. But yeah, my recent painting over here, this is the reference I used to help me draw it. So it definitely does help. It definitely does make a difference in the way we draw. This was the original grayscale version of that painting. Let me see if I can find my reference that I used for it. Oh, there it is. Right here. This is the reference I used. I generated it in Portrait Studio. And it's called Portrait Studio because it's a studio. You get your model, you get the type of model you want, you get the type of face you want, you get the type of lighting you want. That's a studio. So that kind of just justifies its title. I'm so happy that it's finally done. The UI looks so pretty. I tried to keep it really just not invasive UI, just really normal looking UI. I hope it's helpful. I hope it's worth the buy. There's updates, ongoing updates that we're going to be adding head rigging, so we can move the head around to look in different locations. And for you character development artists out there, concept artists, character design artists, I hope this proves to be as helpful as I wanted it to be. For your specific job description. For those who want to study form and light behavior and form signatures, this is absolutely good for that. I cannot wait to use it myself. I'm just going to hog it. But no, we made it for you guys. So I hope it makes a difference in our channel as well, that we're actually, we have content here and we have something that we're really offering in the education circle and YouTube, and kind of puts our channel separate from everyone else. And that we have something like this available for everyone to use. And that's it. It's almost released. I'm thinking we finish the video, the feature this week, upload it for a week, and it'll be purchasable by by mid-March. I hope. I hope and I promise. At the same time, sentient nipples. Boobs look a bit fake to me. Yeah, there is a way for us to add in boob physics, but I think you shouldn't be depending on this app to draw for you. We do have the boob structure. They are structured as if gravity is pulling on them. I've approved of them myself. But there are ways to apply both other external references and this. This is also great for you photo manipulation artists. If you guys want a plate on which to add stuff, this is great for that. If you want to half paint, half photo bash. Yeah, the nipples became self-aware. They became sentient. Wow, I can see it now. Great job on the hard work. What is the cost? The cost will be between $40 and $50. I think it's going to be 40 upon release month, and then it'll go up after that. Because there are endless updates that you guys will be getting. Lots of downloadable content, which is downloadable for free. And as you know out there, the DLC is some crazy profit scheme that's been happening. So you've pretty much paid for all the downloadable content that's coming. From full bodies, maybe full body will be a separate studio. But as for portrait and anything portraiture, this studio is going to help a lot, and the features that come with it, as well as the constant updates, I think will justify its price. um, so thanks everyone for watching. I hope today's class was helpful for you. Draw some old people, submit it on the class community. I'd love to see you guys apply today's lesson. But thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.